Time for the only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donley Auctions Hour.
Welcome to the Donley Auctions Hour. Thank you for joining us. We are here every Saturday from 1 to 2 o'clock. Happy November, everybody. I'm Susan. I'm here with Randy Donley, and we are the owners of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois, just 60 miles west of Chicago. We're out by the Wild West town. Hi, Randy.
Hey, Susan. How are you today?
Oh, excellent. Yeah, November's almost over. I'm Christmas shopping. You got anything on your list? Somewhere warm, hopefully. We're going somewhere warm.
There you go.
Yes, this show we're talking about a fantastic auction we have coming up in December. Our guns and military auctions coming up, and I know you have a story you want to tell.
I have a quick story that just happened
here we go, folks.
Last week, and that is, my brother Mike was at the hardware store the other day, and he brought an antique projector with him simply because he wanted to make sure some screws would fit just right. And a gentleman stops by and says, wow, that's an interesting piece of equipment. What is it? They started to talk. One thing leads to another, and this gentleman tells Mike he has some antique vehicles for sale, which we ended up buying. But, the whole point is the timing. The timing of that
is everything.
Is that if Mike didn't have that with him, this gentleman would have never stopped to talk to him.
Right. We would have never met him.
And if it would have just been 1 minute or 30 seconds, one way or the other, if Mike would have been held up in traffic, the man never would have been passing him in the aisle in the hardware store. But the story gets even crazier.
Okay.
So we go to pick up the vehicles, and they're in storage, in a gentleman's storage building. And the man, Henry, by the way, hey, Henry out there, if you if you're listening, hello,
Hi,
Henry. Henry's the owner of the storage facility that these vehicles were in, and he said, well, this is really interesting. He said, because I was just listening to your radio show and heard you on the radio, and now you're here at my place picking up these vehicles. It's just such a...
And it could have only have happened that day.
Right, because he happened to be moving vehicles out for the winter, and rearranging his building where these antique vehicles would have been buried for the winter had it have not happened on that very day.
That's right. Timing is everything, and that is a perfect segue to talk about our December 16th and 17th gun and military auction. We have one of our specialists on the phone with us, David. Hi, David. Thanks for joining us today. I know you have some interesting stories about some of the items coming up, but again, timing is everything, and now is the time to consign if you have anything that you want to put in auction.
That it is. So, and that was, I want to stay on this topic of vehicles just for a minute.
Okay.
David,
let's get on it.
Just a minute, David, before...
military vehicles, to be specific.
Yes, exactly, military vehicles. We consistently get World War II Jeeps in and this type of, the more, I guess, more common vehicles, from World War II. But we're always looking for more military vehicles. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, if you have anything in military vehicles, and especially, we're always looking for cannons.
I was in cannons too. I had a friend the other night. I was out listening to a concert, one of my favorite bands, High Infidelity, and she says, "Hey, I have a couple, not one, two weapon carriers." I'm like, oh, here's my business card. So you never know who you're going to meet and talk to. And I said, the timing is perfect for our December auction.
Yes,
so I got to give her a call.
So, David, what are you up to today? You're working on the December auction, huh?
Sure. Well, I'm working on some British police stuff, including those the well-known Bobby helmets that everybody knows from history and television and movies. But as far as December is concerned, it's kind of a wide range, because when it comes to blades, daggers, knives, bayonets from the Civil War, from World War I, from World War II, German and Japanese and Union, and even some of the fraternal swords, which are becoming more and more collectible. That's part of what we're going to see. And then a lot of good headgear, which is the category for hats and helmets, which is always very collectible. As a trivia answer, Stormin Norman, the commander of the U.S. forces, what was his name?
Schwarzkopf, of course.
He was a German. I mean, he was a military hat collector. He collected hats and helmets. And but anyway, there's a lot of people that like hats and helmets, and there's going to be just a whole bunch of American helmets, German hats, and insignia and medals and patches and
what David, what was that hand-painted American helmet I saw come in the other day? It had an insignia painted on it.
Yeah, it had the 4th Ivy Division, and that was a well-known division that landed at Utah Beach and was served throughout northern France and into Germany. And this is one where it appears that he was an officer, and he painted his insignia, which is a green ivy piece of ivy insignia on the front of his helmet with his rank right below it, and that's kind of nice because it has a little bit of provenance and history to it. That just whenever the guys do something special to their helmet to personalize it, that always makes it much more collectible.
But what we always have to warn people who are collectors is, unfortunately, most of what we're seeing out there right now at shows and everything, they're fakes. Am I correct with that? I mean, we're seeing so many helmets that have been painted to look like World War II, but they're not really.
There is a market for that, sadly, and it used to be easy for collectors to tell, and now because of the increasing value of the real thing, there's people that are really looking at it as an opportunity to deceive others and sell things that aren't quite legitimate. And so as collectors, historians, and as an auction house, we all have to be very careful when receiving things. Some things are no-brainers. You just look at it, it's good, and some things you have to do some additional research to make sure that you're offering exactly what you have.
A real quick story about just the paint alone. I was talking to a man who's a known faker, who told me that he actually goes to garage sales to look for old paint that people have that's still useful because it's lead base, and they don't make lead based paint anymore. But if you're faking a helmet, you have to use the right paint. Wow. Otherwise, it shows up with a black light.
There are collectors that actually get chemical analysis. They'll flake a very small piece off of something to confirm the age of the paint. That's for those painted leather jackets, for the helmets, and other things that were painted, like even duffel bags. That's one of those fantastic categories of the Navy guys would draw pictures of women on it, or all the battles that they were, all the ships they were on, and sometimes they can be quite ornate. And I've seen them in frames, and some people think it's just an old duffel bag, and it turns out it has special value.
And ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons that any collector would spend the money to have an analysis done is because some of these American items have gained such value over the years. There are World War II American helmets that are worth as much as $25,000. And it's not unusual for a flight jacket, a leather flight jacket that's hand-painted on the back, to go for $5,000. I mean, the money that's in military collecting right now is sometimes astounding. So if you have military relics at home and you'd like an evaluation on, we can help you. We do not charge for our evaluations, and hopefully they're items that you might want to consign to us for auction.
That's correct. And if you want to give us a call at 815-923-7000, we can even put you in touch with David. He's one of our specialists. So is Randy and Mike. We've got people here who can talk about what you have and give you the right direction to go in.
You got it.
Yeah, but what we also like, too, are photographs. So if you want to send us some photos through email, consign@donleyauctions.com. Send us a few photos.
So what else, David? What else is coming in? I just saw some German daggers in the lobby yesterday. That a gentleman just walked in the door with. It's fun to see the parade of items that walks in our place.
A very historic dagger, and in fact, the gentleman who brought it in didn't even really know what it was, and he was doing it on behalf of his friend who passed away. And that, kind of, if you have a second, if I can say this, I would tell any collector, that there's acquiring it, there is displaying it, there's studying about it, and then there's the part of what to do if something happens to you.
Right.
Yeah.
And and it's really important that like, for example, I'll say this for Donley Auctions, that if you decide that if I get hit by a car, I want my stuff to go to Donley Auctions, well, for goodness sakes, write it down. Put it in your last estimate. Put it on note cards, and make sure your loved ones know, because that makes it so much easier for them. If you all of a sudden,
David, thank you for that information. We'll talk again about that in the next segment.
Yeah, we'll bring you back.
Yeah, we'll bring you back because we want to talk about the ordnance collection that's coming up too. Huge collection, folks. You got to hear about this. David's got some more interesting stories. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan. I'm co-owner of Donley Auctions with Randy Donley. And David's still on the phone with us. He's one of our military specialists. And I wanted to talk a little bit about dropping stuff off at the auction hall. We have people who just kind of stop by and bring us stuff. Again, we want to make sure we can set up an appointment because it's important that you get a chance to talk with David or Mike and Randy, and we want to make sure they are there. So call us first at 815-923-7000. Let's set up an appointment so that we can make the best use of your time when you do bring items out.
Instead of just showing up.
Just don't show up, right.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people drive far away.
But wait a second. Right before the break.
I cut you off, David. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Finish that story about making sure people in your family know your wishes.
Absolutely, because I think that there's a lot of collectors that think they're going to live forever, or someone who has some really great things and they know about it, and then they unexpectedly pass away, and they really didn't pass instructions. And and sometimes I know that there's people that especially loved ones, that it becomes a real struggle to figure out how am I going to proceed. And luckily, last week a gentleman came in, or was it earlier this week, with some things on behalf of his friend who passed away and his widow. And I thought, well, that's a good thing that he came to Donley Auctions. But I realized that that this deceased friend that I knew, that he didn't really leave any good instructions, because a lot of times when you have a collection of whatever it is, that if you don't have good information to give the family, here's how I want you to liquidate it, here's how I want you to sell it, here's what I think it's worth. Those are all very, very important.
It's got to be in writing.
Yep. Yeah, well, it really should be.
And I do believe, though, with the ordnance collection we're going to talk about in this segment, that's exactly what happened. Didn't the family know about Donley Auctions, and that's how he came to us with this ordnance collection?
They did. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that collection. Yeah,
it's the more we look into it, that we're finding out that it's one of the again, ordnances, grenades and landmines and fuses, and things associated with it.
Things
artillery
that go
shells,
boom.
Things that go boom. And this guy, this gentleman, and I knew him just by communicating online. He passed away, and his son, and I think it may have been the collector's wishes, and the son did his research, and he's out of state, and he contacted Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois, to liquidate the collection, and said a couple of years ago, I'm gonna use you. Just give me time to go through it, and he did so, and it's here now, and it's going to be coming up in early 2024.
And that's a good point when you say out of state. We certainly went and picked this collection up. This is not the type of thing that you ship through the mail or what have you.
It's probably not a good idea.
And we do travel. We do travel all over to pick up big collections. I mean, or a single rare item. I mean, we will fly out just about anywhere for that. But ladies and gentlemen, collections. We're always looking for the next big collection.
Right. So start thinking now what you want to have happen with your collection so that your loved ones know what to do next. David, tell us a little bit about some of your favorite items that are coming up in the ordinance collection next year. I mean, we're talking like 1,000 lots, correct?
Oh, you know what? Before you even do that, I'm sorry to cut you off, Dave, but we did change the date. We had originally said this was going to be part of the December auction. But the December auction actually is getting too large, and this ordinance collection is a standalone
Oh, my gosh,
auction.
yeah, probably 2 days.
It really is. So we're planning the ordinance collection for
early next year,
the beginning
February,
of the year,
maybe.
right after January. So okay, now you can answer the question about what's some of your favorite items in this collection.
Well, the collector himself had Jim Geibel, and he's well known in the hobby. That he was started out as a state bomb disposal expert, and then worked for the federal government in that capacity as an expert. And of course, that was it was his hobby. And some of the things that he acquired are things that he was able to legally acquire that are extraordinarily scarce, and many of it one of a kind. And one thing that just I get a chuckle out of it is this very rare Russian gas grenade, and it looks like a tin can with a stick on it, and it's got a little Russian word for danger with a little skull and crossbones on it, and it's making sure it's dangerous. But there's just a wide range of things from over 30, 40 nations. And really the rare, the esoteric, and things you just don't see every day. And so so in that hobby there's going to be a lot of eyes on it and a lot of interest worldwide, or wherever we're able to legally ship these things. Everything's inert. Everything is
inert.
Safe.
Yes, that's correct.
Absolutely inert. Yes.
And just a little bit of a background on Mr. Geibel, like you had mentioned. I did not know he was a police officer. He served time in Pennsylvania Police Department in Baltimore County, and then when he retired from the police force, he joined the ATF. Interesting. What an interesting man. I wish we could have met him. And we'll get to meet his son. I understand his son might be coming out here next year, too. So that'd be great.
Fabulous.
I know there's a lot of work going on with this collection. Anything else you want to share, David?
Just that there's a lot of people that are very interested in it, and that and if you have something like that, send us a picture, let us know, and it's something that because there's a lot of interest in even like old artillery shells, the ones that are even been shot, and just the shell itself, and people make lamps out of them, and they carve scenes on the side of them. And those are also, they call it trench art. That's also a very, very collectible category with a lot of interest. And a lot of times people will say, that's not a lamp, that's an artillery shell.
Right. David, I have a question. If somebody has items like these at home, how do they know if it's inert or not? What do we tell them to do?
Well, that is where it's if you know how you got it, usually that person is knowledgeable of its current status. But I would say this, and is that send us some pictures if you find something, and then we can walk you through how you can make sure that it's safe and legal to have. And odds are the vast majority of what's in private hands in this country is safe, but there's occasionally I would say that you have to have a little bit of caution because sometimes the souvenirs may not be checked out properly. So we just say, please, just let us know, and if it means that we have to, give you some assistance on how to proceed, we'll be happy to do that.
Good information.
And truly, so many times we're dealing with widows who aren't necessarily sure of what they have. And again, that we're happy to do this, ladies, and gentlemen, at free of charge. There's, for our opinions and our advice and everything, this is what we do.
No obligation.
Yeah.
Complimentary chit chat.
It wasn't all that long ago. Mike and I were in a home, and we were there for other type of antiques, and a woman said, "Oh, I do have my husband's pistol." And she went into the bedroom and pulled out a pistol out of the nightstand, and she's waving this gun around. And again, we see that it's in the cocked position. It was a .45 automatic, and it made us nervous. Please stop, please stop. We took the pistol out of her hand. Literally, it was cocked, it was loaded. If she would have touched the trigger,
wow,
that gun would have gone off. And again, she just was not aware of that. Unfortunately, her husband did not, train her in these things. And it's just one of those things that happen. You never want to have an accident at home. So please be careful. If you're not familiar with firearms, call somebody who is and let them go through the motions of checking everything.
Well, thank you, David, for the information on the military collection auction, December 16th and 17th, and the Jim Geibel Ordnance Collection. Is there anything, David, any holes in the auction we're looking for, anything specific that we're looking to add?
No, we've only got a minute.
I would just say more of everything that we always look for: hats, helmets, uniforms, daggers, posters, uniforms, American, German, Japanese, Civil War, French and Indian War, Revolution, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Gulf Wars.
All wars. Yep.
All wars. That's right. Well, thank you very much for that, David. We'll see you back at the office. And folks, again, if you have anything like that, email us at consign, CONSIGN, at DonleyAuctions.com. Again, if you're a phone person, you'd rather call us at 815-923-7000. Don't go anywhere. On our next segment, we're going to talk about these fabulous firearms. I'm thinking like 500 to 600 firearms coming up in our December auction. You don't want to miss this. We're going to have our gun expert on the line. You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour right here every Saturday on AM 560, The Answer. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, and here with Randy Donley. We are the owners of Donley Auctions in Union, Illinois, and we're talking today about our upcoming firearms and military auction, December 16th and 17th. Mark your calendars, folks. I have Neil on the phone with us. Neil is a gun expert, one of our specialists on staff that can answer questions about firearms. Hi, Neil. Thanks for joining the show.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey, good, Neil.
Neil has been busy.
One thing that I wanted to point out, Neil, is that in our last segment, David had mentioned, that we do a lot of work for families and friends and widows and this type of thing. And that's exactly what you and I just did just a couple days ago. We drove out because one of our other very satisfied customers, a gentleman that was very happy and told me, really sang your praises specifically, he came because a friend of his had passed away and his wife didn't know what to do with her gun collection. So he had you and I come out and pick up, almost 100 guns, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, there's 80, 90, 100 guns right in that.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Did she know he had that many? A lot of times the widows don't know about the collection.
She did. She was very astute as far as knowing what he had and everything.
Nice.
She just didn't, really know exactly, okay, how do I dispose of them? And he passed so quickly, they did not have time to discuss these type of things. He was, a younger gentleman, and it was a shock to the family. They didn't know. And that's exactly what David is saying is, folks, you have to think about these things. Life happens, and so does death. So that's
write it down.
That's when you need us.
Make your wishes known to every member in the family.
But let's talk about this on a happier note. Let's talk about this auction coming up and, some of the things that we have.
Absolutely. That same gentleman that we were just talking about, he had a couple really great guns. He had, excuse my German, it's horrible, but Royal Württembergs. They're muskets that were made back in the mid to late 1800s.
Oh. A
lot of them were shipped over here from Germany for the Civil War to help arm the Confederates.
I'll be darned. Wow.
Two of them. He's got 40-inch and the 32-inch here, and they're in incredible condition.
Well, that's amazing. So would these be known as Confederate guns, or I mean, is that not necessarily? Can we promote those as Confederate guns?
No, they fit the dates. They fit the serial numbers.
I gotcha. Okay.
There's no
no proof
documentation to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it was very commonly used. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, what was that double barrel, or was it a over and under? I'm not even sure.
Side by side, yeah.
A side by side. A gun came in the other day that you were really impressed with. What was
Neil
that?
comes by my desk. Susan, I'm on the phone. I'm doing like 10 things. Susan, you got to see this. I love it. You're like a little kid in a candy store. But tell us about that.
It's like show and tell.
Very interested in what you had to say about that one. Tell us about it.
It's a partial gun. It's the barrels in the part of the action. What it is a Remington 1885 or 95, something like that. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. But what was really cool is these were made as street howitzers, basically gunfighting guns. They're short. The barrel release is very quick. It's just flick it with your thumb, and the barrels open up so you can reload and unload and reload real quick, keep you in the fight.
It's neat, isn't it? You got to see it. Again, on our live show, we'll be able to show people that, but...
Absolutely. Right. Think of Doc Holliday.
Yes.
The street howitzer walking.
Oh, my goodness.
Tombstone.
Okay.
That's what it is. It's a neat piece of history.
And, and I'm glad you point that out. This is historic stuff. This is true history and everything. There's obviously, a lot of different feelings about guns today, what people should or should not have. But, these antique guns, this is our history and our heritage as to how this country was built and got to the point where it's at right now.
Exactly. This is what developed this country and made it what it is.
So what Susan's pointing out on one of our flyers, we've got a bunch of interesting looking revolvers. What all is in the store in revolvers?
Yeah. Absolutely. I've got pythons again.
Oh, my goodness. Come on.
I love our snake guns, yeah.
Absolutely.
Those sold very well at this September auction.
Absolutely. We've gotten Colts. We've gotten some old Smith & Wessons. It's just fantastic. That's one thing that we got. It's a little bit off that subject is a Roth Sauer, 1905, which is a very, very early semi-automatic. Think about cowboy days when everybody had revolvers.
Yeah.
This was a semi-auto that came around. It's German-made. I'll tell you right now, it's silly. It's over-engineered, very, very complicated. But this is when they were learning how to make a semi-auto. And it's just a neat gun. They only made a couple thousand of them.
Wow.
They're not around.
Wow.
Well, good to know.
I actually had to look up on YouTube how to open it. I didn't know.
Wow. And what we're working on right now is getting this catalog online. So we want you to go to DonleyAuctions.com. We will have this catalog available in no time. This is for the December 16th and 17th firearm and military auction. If you do have items to consign, give us a call at 815-923-7000 or send us an email, consign@DonleyAuctions.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Shauna Donley, the Donley Auctions Hour, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
And now, more of the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. Thanks for sticking with us during that break. I'm Susan, co-owner of Donley Auctions, here with Randy Donley. And we have Shauna Donley on the line with us. She is heading up our real estate division called the Donley Group. Hi, Shauna. Tell us what's happening in your world.
Hi, Susan. Hi, Randy. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Well,
welcome.
Would just like to tell everybody a little bit about the Donley Group and who we are and what we do. We are a real estate group with App Properties Christie's International. We are headquartered in Chicago, but serve all of northwestern Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, and we can help everybody in all 50 states with referrals. So give us a call if you're looking to buy or sell. But as far as an update goes, we keep getting the question, gosh, it just sounds like a terrible time to sell. Well, should we sell? What should we do? And people are still in multiple offer situations. I stress the importance of pricing your home right, and you will get multiple offers because especially now with taxes, people are trying to get their purchases closed before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very competitive time. I'm personally in a multiple offer situation trying to buy a property right now. So it's happening. We've got motivated buyers.
Well, and also to that point, I want to point out to people who might not know, multiple offers situations normally means, correct me if I'm wrong, normally means that offers actually for more than asking price.
Depending on the property, absolutely. I have seen multiple offers situations where all of the offers were under asking, and sellers are always shocked that happens, but that's what happens if you don't price your property correctly. Now, if you go with the strategy where you're going to price it at or slightly under market value, I'm telling you, multiple offers will definitely come in, definitely over asking.
You know,
a lot of times, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I just talked to a gentleman yesterday who, in fact, told me you sold a property for him, and within days he had all these offers all over asking, and he couldn't have been more excited.
That's exactly what happened. We closed that property so quickly to a cash buyer who's actually an investor. But one of the other things that I was going to mention in these multiple offers is that people will also offer to waive contingencies, to go with cash, to say, you know what, we're not going to do an inspection. We're just going to buy it as is. We're not asking for any credits. So that really can be to the advantage of the seller. Now, if I were representing the buyer, I would say, sure, go in as is, but we're still going to ask for credits. But, you know, that's just how it works. When I represent you as a buyer or a seller, no matter what, I've got your best interest at heart.
You know, I want to remind everybody out there also about how this whole real estate division of Donley Auctions even started. And that is very simply, folks, we were coming into homes so often. I mean, we were always taking, you know, antiques and items out of homes. And people were saying to me all the time, oh, we need to get it cleared out because we're going to sell the house. We're going to sell the house. And of course, you know, my daughter being a realtor, I was handing out business cards all the time, and she was getting these homes. So we decided, well, wait, why not? Let's start the Donley Group. And my goodness, almost every time we go into a home to take antiques out due to a death or what have you, they end up signing the property with you, Shauna. And
nice job,
I
Shauna.
can't
Love
believe how many people are contacting us, how happy they are.
Oh, thank you. That's so good to hear. And we have so much fun working with our clients. And as a result, you know, a lot of times people with these big collections, or they are leaving behind very unique properties. So they've been really fun to sell too. And if you're looking for something that's out of the ordinary, I'm definitely your go-to girl. Our team can find you the most unique and fun properties if that's what you're into.
And also, let's point out that you don't have to be selling your antiques through Donley Auctions to contact Shauna. If you have a unique property and you're not a collector, I mean, that doesn't mean don't contact Shauna if you don't have antiques, because you take all types of real estate, and you don't necessarily have to contact us because of your antiques. Right, Shauna?
Absolutely.
That's right.
I will sell your beautiful big home. I will sell your ugly, boring house. I will sell it all for you.
And the way to get a hold of Shauna is to go to our website, DonleyAuctions.com, and there's a tab on our homepage that says real estate. So that's how you're going to get in touch with Shauna direct. So check it out, folks. Shauna, I know there's a lot of
number and email are right there.
Yeah, everything you need to know is right there. I know there's a lot of news going on right now about rates. Tell us a little bit about rates right now.
Yes, so many questions about rates, and, you know, buyers and sellers alike are freaking out a little bit. You know, rates are so high. Are we going to get a good deal on our home? Well, there's two things that I'd like to point out. One, buy now, because now is the time to get a good deal on a house. Yes, you have a higher rate, but you can renegotiate your rate down the road. You can't renegotiate what you paid for the house. So go in now, get the good deal, close your house, hang on to it for about a year, I would say. And here's where I'm thinking a year. I was talking to a lender the other day, and I said, you know, seriously, I got to ask. I mean, I'm telling people rates are going to come down. Tell me you believe this, right? He said, absolutely. And here's his opinion, that Biden's approval numbers are so low that he's going to have no choice to do something as this election is coming up to gain back voter confidence. And everybody in the mortgage industry is telling me that they believe it's going to come in the form of lowering rates.
Wow. Wow. Good advice.
You know,
Good advice.
When we're coming mid next year, you know, to do that big push for votes, that's what it sounds like. That's what people are thinking he's going to do, is push the Fed to lower rates.
I'll be darned.
Thank you, Shauna, for that. I was making notes myself on buy now. I'm making notes. Yes.
Exactly. Buy now.
That's right. Well, good luck to you and all your property dealings right now as well. And we'll see you back at the office and at our future auctions. And Randy, don't go anywhere, because we want to talk a little bit about how that people can consign with us. We want to always let them know that now is the good time, not only to buy, but also to consign to future auctions. So you're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour here every Saturday at 1 o'clock on AM 560. The Answer. We'll continue talking about that in our next segment. Don't go anywhere.
The Donley Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560. The Answer.
We are back with the Donley Auctions Hour. I'm Susan, here with Randy. We've been talking in this segment about an upcoming auction in December 16th and 17th to be exact. Firearms and military. It's not too soon to consign for that auction, but you know what? We have so much stuff coming in for firearms and ammunition and gun accessories and reloading gear, military items, that we're going to be doing another military auction early next year. So, again, it's not too soon. Give us a call at 815-923-7000.
It's a good point to always remind everyone out there that we repeat all of our themes of auctions. So if don't feel that if you miss a military or a gun or a coin op,
right,
that we're not repeating these auctions. These constantly will repeat. For example, we are still looking right now for military vehicles. Mm-hmm. We're looking for cannons. I'm always
tanks.
I want
to
press everybody out there, attorneys, banks, and municipalities, that we can help you with these big collections and everything. And if municipalities are looking to get rid of monuments or vehicles like tanks and cannons and everything in parks due to insurance problems or what have you, they sometimes become a liability issue and you need to move them along. We can help you with all of these things.
That's right. And with firearms, too, because we do carry our very own FFL, which is the Federal Firearms License, folks. We toe the line with the ATF, and we can safely retrieve and sell your firearms.
Sure. And, when we talk about vehicles, we have coming up right after the first of the year.
Got a 69 Camaro coming in by any chance?
I don't.
No?
Not yet. But hey, if you've got a 69 Camaro out
yet.
there, Susan's looking for one. She wants one for a wedding present. So, so if I don't find one, I can't get married, folks. Okay. So cars, we have Model A's in house.
Yes.
We've got Model T's, Model T trucks. We have even a gentleman just consigned to us, or is consigning, a couple Shelby Mustangs.
That's
to
right.
us, 69 Shelbys, a pair of them.
I'll take one of those.
Has. So we've got all kinds of vehicles coming in already. So if you have vehicles, if you have gas pumps, if you have signs,
Petroliana in general, yes.
Anything in license plates, we have a big license plate auction coming up
too. Motorcycles too, because now is a good time to sell those early next year, so people have them ready for the spring.
Well, and we're selling worldwide, so people say all the time, "Oh, I don't want to sell a convertible or a motorcycle in the winter." It's not winter everywhere. We're selling nationwide, we're selling worldwide. And so seasonality is not a problem when you're selling at our auctions.
That's right. And, speaking of bidding, if you want to bid online, go to our website at donleyauctions.com. Go to the button that says Upcoming Auctions. You can see our catalogs, and you can bid right from the convenience of your own home. So make sure you do that. Also, I always like everybody to come out to our auctions. Just come on out. We're not that far away, out in the country, going the opposite direction to traffic. You can bid live. You can submit some absentee bids. You can even call us to submit a phone bid. But you know what? The most important thing about our website is the calendar of upcoming events. So we've got December, January, General Antiques. We're going to have a car auction coming up. Just some great stuff, folks. Stick with us. You got to listen to the Donley Auctions Hour show every Saturday at 1 o'clock.
It's over too soon.
It's over too soon.
I want more time.
We got to get back to work. I know. Thanks for listening, everyone, on AM 560 The Answer. For now, I'm Susan.
And I'm Randy Donley. And we'll see you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560 The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonleyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonleyAuctions.com.